We've been told a very specific story about progress, that the future belongs to whoever moves fastest, that innovation means acceleration, that the next evolution of humanity will be driven by more speed, more output, more efficiency, more intelligence layered on top of more intelligence, faster systems, smarter machines, shorter cycles, less friction. But if you listen carefully, not to the headlines, not to the hype, but to your own body, you'll notice something doesn't quite add up. We're faster than ever, and yet we're more exhausted. We're more connected, yet more lonely. We're more optimized, yet less fulfilled. We're more intelligent, yet less wise. And that tension that you feel, that sense that something about our direction is off, that's not resistant to progress. That's intuition. That's the signal that humanity is approaching a necessary course correction. Today, I want to talk about what I believe is the real next phase of human evolution. And it isn't faster, it's more human. I call this moment the Great Rebalancing. The Great Rebalancing is not about rejecting technology or romanticizing the past. It's about restoring harmony between two forces that were never meant to be in opposition: nature and innovation, progress and presence, intelligence and wisdom, machines and meaning. For most of human history, evolution was slow. Knowledge was embodied. Innovation emerged from relationships with the natural world, seasons and cycles and limits and feedback. Then, in a relatively tiny sliver of time, we've built tools that decoupled us from these rhythms. We gained power faster than we gained integration, and now we're living inside the consequences of that imbalance. That's why the conversation about artificial intelligence, technology, and the future feels so charged. It's not fear of machines, it's grief for what we've lost. Our sense of rhythm, of grounding, of coherence, and human scale living. It's the nervous system responding to a world that's evolving faster than our biology. And biology matters. Your nervous system did not evolve for constant stimulation. Your attention did not evolve for infinite inputs. Your sense of meaning did not evolve from algorithms. It evolved from relationship with land and with people and with time and with purpose. When those relationships break down, no amount of innovation can compensate. In fact, innovation without integration becomes destabilizing. It creates more power without more wisdom, more capacity without more coherence. That's the imbalance we're feeling right now. The great rebalancing begins when we stop asking, how do we move faster? And start asking, how do we move wisely? When we stop measuring progress only by output and start measuring it by quality of life. When we design systems that support human nervous systems instead of overriding them. Let me make this tangible. There's a version of progress that looks impressive from the outside. AI automates everything and work becomes hyper efficient. Productivity skyrockets, decisions happen instantly, and yet the humans inside that system feel rushed and disconnected, numb, or anxious. The system works, but the people don't. Then there's another version of progress, one where technology handles the mechanical, repetitive, draining tasks, and humans reclaim the space that creates, space to think and rest and connect and create meaning, space to be in nature, space to be with each other, space to be human. It's the same innovation, but there's a completely different outcome in both those scenarios. The difference is not the technology, it's the framework guiding its use. This is where nature becomes a teacher again, not as an escape from innovation, but as a design principle for it. Nature's the most advanced system we know. It doesn't rush. It doesn't waste. It doesn't optimize one part at the expense of the whole. It operates through balance and feedback and cycles and regeneration. Growth happens, but never without rest. Expansion happens, but never without integration. Every ecosystem is a living negotiation between progress and preservation. When human systems ignore those principles, collapse follows. When they honor them, resilience emerges. This isn't philosophy. This is system science. Our nervous systems operate the same way ecosystems do. They require cycles of activation and recovery. Our cognition requires focus and rest. Our creativity requires input and incubation. Our relationships require presence and space. When we violate those rhythms in the name of efficiency, we create internal ecological collapse, burnout, anxiety, fragmentation, loss of meaning. The Great Rebalancing is about restoring those rhythms, not by slowing innovation, but by humanizing it. And this is the idea of blending progress with presence becomes essential. Presence is not the opposite of productivity. It's what makes productivity sustainable. Presence is what allows insight and intuition and ethical discernment and emotional intelligence to guide innovation instead of being crushed by it. And here's the part that matters most. This rebalancing does not happen at the level of governments or corporations first. It happens at the level of the individual first, at the level of how you design your life and your days and your rhythms and your relationship with tools and your relationship with nature and your relationship with yourself. You cannot wait for the world to rebalance. You have to become the rebalancing. And this is where frameworks come in. A rebalanced life is not anti-technology. It's intentional technology. You decide what tools serve you and which ones steal from you. You design your digital environment to reduce noise and increase clarity. You allow AI to create efficiency, but you use that efficiency to reclaim time for things that nourish you instead of filling it with more work. A rebalanced life is also nature integrated, not as a luxury, not as a vacation, but as a baseline. Nature becomes part of your daily regulation strategy. Walks, light, trees, water, silence. Sensory input that tells your nervous system you're safe, you belong here. A rebalanced life is human-centered. Relationships matter, touch matters, conversations matter, slowness matters. Not because they're nostalgic, but because they regulate your biology and anchor your meaning. And a rebalanced life is consciously designed. You don't stumble into harmony, you architect it. You look honestly at where your life is out of alignment and where innovation is outrunning integration, where speed is replacing depth and where efficiency is replacing fulfillment. This is where the impossible prompt enters the picture, not as another system to optimize you, but as a framework to bring you back into coherence. The impossible prompt is designed to help you see the imbalances in your life clearly. It reflects where your nervous system is overloaded, where your attention is fragmented, where your identity is outdated, where your inner model no longer matches the life you're living. And from that clarity, it helps you to design a path forward that blends progress with presence. It doesn't necessarily ask you to slow down for the sake of slowing down. It asks you to align, to integrate, to design a life where technology amplifies your humanity instead of replacing it. This is the deeper promise of AI when it's used consciously. Not that it makes us faster, but that it gives us the opportunity to be more human than we've been allowed to be in decades. AI can carry complexity. It can manage systems. It can process information. And when it does, it frees you to return to what only humans can do. Create meaning, build relationships, exercise wisdom, feel deeply, and live fully. But that outcome isn't automatic. It requires attention. It requires frameworks. It requires self-awareness. It requires the courage to design a life that values harmony over hype. The great rebalancing is already happening. You can feel it in the questions people are asking, in the exhaustion with constant acceleration, in the hunger for depth and nature and presence and truth, in the growing realization that progress without humanity is actually not progress at all. And the invitation of this moment is simple but profound. Will you continue chasing speed, or will you choose harmony? Will you let innovation define you, or will you define how innovation fits into your life? So if something inside you feels activated right now, a curiosity, a recognition, a sense of, yeah, this is it. That's not coincidence. That's your deeper intelligence recognizing the moment we're in. And if you're ready to explore what a rebalanced life looks like, one that blends nature and innovation, progress and presence and intelligence and wisdom, then I invite you to take a next step with me. Request your private invitation to the impossible prompt. Because humanity's next evolution isn't faster, it's more human. And the future belongs to those who know how to live in balance.